All right, and welcome back to a live edition of KC Sports Talk. Ed Bishop along with Brian Still. We got a good show in store for you tonight. We are special guest Jacques Tournoy of the Kansas City Comets. Brian and I have our amateur and professional sports desks, and we're going to be opening the lineup to your calls and comments, not only about the Comets and the MISL, but near the end of the show, Brian and I are going to be talking about college basketball and other professional sports scenes that we have not had a chance to delve into recently. So everyone stay tuned, and as soon as we come back, Brian and I will have our sports desk. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back to KC Sports Talk. Ed Bishop here, and actually, the cameras, there we go. That's Jacques. You got to look. I didn't get to introduce him. I'm kind of bummed out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jacques Tournoy. He's the official scorer for the Kansas City Comets, and we're going to have Jacques describe exactly what he does for the Comets here in a second. But among his accomplishments, Jacques has been with the Comets for 7 years now, since age 15. He's only a spry young 22 years old. And he also plays soccer outdoors for the UMKC Kangaroos, who are going Division I this year. And I'll let him tell you a lot of the rest. Welcome to KC Sports Talk, Jacques.
Thank you. Before I get started, I'd like to compliment Ed on a fantastic job of public address announcing recently at the Comets game. Last week the Comets played the Wings, and Ed was on the PA. And we'd like to think that his inspirational voice surged the Comets on to the 10-5 victory. So. Good job, Ed.
Thank you. I'm blushing, so I don't need makeup tonight on the set. That was fun. For those of you who didn't know that, I just got the job as the backup public address announcer for the Comets, and it is a fun experience to be down in the penalty box, whooping up the crowd, doing the player introductions, calling out the goals. And for those of you who haven't seen a Comets game, it's even more exhilarating when you get down there and do that. Your job with the Comets has to be an exhilarating one. Every team in the league, every paper across the country that carries the MISL, when a box score comes out of Kansas City, it's got Jacques Tournoy's personal stamp on it.
That's right. Basically what my job is, I'm head statistician, and what I do during the game is I call out all the shots, the blocks, the saves, the fouls, everything that essentially happens statistically during the game. I make sure that it's recorded and put down, so people like Randy Kovitz of the Star and Times, Joanne Barnes, and all the media in Kansas City can use it when they make their game reports the next day.
And when you're doing this, now you actually are not able to write all this down yourself and to do it. You can't look at the game, reach down and write.
Exactly.
You have a panel of statisticians in front of you.
I have one assistant right now, Tim Ranney. He's been with the team for a couple of years now also. He writes down what I say, and at the end of the game, his totals go down the master score sheet. And then from that, we fax out to UPI, AP, all the news polls, and they, like I said, make their game reports. So it's tough. You can't take your eyes off the game. If you do for just 1 second, you miss it all, and you're in trouble.
I know, in a way, would you compare what you're doing as kind of like a shorthand radio announcer? You know, Kevin Wall does the radio for the Comets, but Tim's got to be looking down at his paper. He's got to be writing things down. For you, is it kind of like you're calling everything out in shorthand, aren't you?
Exactly. I basically just call as I see it. I can't really think about, well, was that a shot or wasn't it, or was that, who gave that assist? You have to watch the game, and when it happens, you have to be confident and sure that that's it, and you make the call. And then, because like on a goal, when a goal is scored, they want the assist immediately. You know, when you're on PA, that assist has to come out real quick, and I'm the one who gave it to you. And when that doesn't happen, then if there's a TV game or what have you, then there's some confusion on who got the assist. And Larry Freeman, the PR director of the Comets, he's on my back then. So.
And literally, Larry stands right over Jacques' back during most of the games, and he's trying to help Jacques out, but he's also the one who's going, Jacques, who did this? Who did that?
Exactly.
And it's got to be tough. You're sitting with a panel of writers in the press box. I know I sit up in the press box, the press suite, as they call it, a lot during the games. And you have writers along there. Some of them you've never even met. and they're asking you, well, who made this pass and who did that? Are you able to keep track of all that, or is there?
I tell you, since I've been doing it now for actually 6 years. I've been head statistician for the last 3 years, and as I do this, Randy Kovitz will scream out to me and say, Jacques, who passed that ball? How'd that develop? And I've learned how to watch the game and continue doing my job, and at the meantime describe the action to Randy. So it just comes with a little practice and time. So.
Okay, well, we're actually going to go to the lines now. We have a caller. Chris, you're on KC Sports Talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ed, you always seem to talk about the Comets so much, and I was wondering exactly what it is that you like. I mean, the team basically, in my opinion, is worse than the Steamers ever were, and they folded. I think Comets are going to fold, and I just don't understand why you have so much support for a team that really fucking sucks the big.
Well, there's a fan who has his own opinion, who's probably from St. Louis, and probably should have folded with the Steamers himself. No, but you know, a lot of people ask me why I do. They don't use vile and disgusting language like a Neanderthal, but they ask me why I do support the Comets. And they ask why do I give my support to a league that has had such trouble getting support from the major networks. Anyone who's seen the MISL product, and you know this, we both grew up with it as teenagers at the same time. Anyone who's seen the product likes it. If you really get into it, if you really give it its chance, a lot of people are stuck on the NBA or the NHL, but if you really give it its opportunity.
I agree. It's a fast-moving sport. It's a sport that when you can go to the concession stand and get a Coke and you might miss 2 goals. And a lot of people feel that it's a foreign-dominated sport. But you have to remember that the game may be foreign from Europe, but the indoor game was invented here in America, and it is an American sport because of that. And the American players are developing at a rapid pace, and I don't see why the game won't prosper in America and be right up there with the NBA and NHL and football and baseball. Why not?
It's going to be tough to catch football and baseball, admittedly, but
Right.
the NBA really, 10 years ago, was a much different league than it is today. And Brian and I sat here a few weeks ago, and I was telling Brian about the old days of the NHL where they were 6 teams from roughly the beginning of World War I until 1967 when they doubled their league by 6 more teams. For like almost 25 years really, they were a 6-team league, and they finally were able to grow, and now the NHL just in the past 5 years has become big news. And a lot of people say that this is the television age, and that's what did it, and that the MISL has not had the television exposure, but that could be changing. A lot of cable these days.
Exactly. I mean, I've been with the Comets for 7 years now, and I've seen everything. I've seen the good and I've seen the bad. I've been through all the rough. But I think that soccer, it's a great sport, and the people that run the organizations, like the Comets, it's a class act. These people are, highly educated. They know what they're doing, and it's tough. It's tough to market a product that's brand new. I think it's just a matter of time that. I mean, there are so many kids playing soccer right now in Kansas City and all across America, and it won't be long before they grow up, and then their kids are going to go to the games, and it's going to balloon from that. So.
Let's go back to the phones for intelligent comments from Terry and John. First, Terry, you're on KC Sports Talk. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. I want to jump on the Comets bandwagon as well as the MISL.
Thank you.
From day one, I really picked up the game itself and enjoy it. I know that these players work hard for a living at a measly salary, but from when I go out to attend the games, I feel that I get my money back and more just by entertainment value.
Well, it's good to hear comments like that because I know that the work Jacques and I put in, and a lot of it is from the heart. There's no money really involved in terms of Jacques and I aren't making anything for what we do, really. We get paid for games that we actually work, whether it be PA or statistician. Exactly. But it's rewarding to us to see the game prosper and to see the fans respond, whether, like when I was doing the PA, having 13,000 people react to that and see that you can actually almost fill an arena. Kansas City fans, when they get behind the sport, are really good. Do you have season tickets, or do you regularly attend the games?
I try to attend probably once every other home game.
That's a pretty good ratio. That's a pretty good ratio. What have you seen this season that Do you think the league's going to survive? Have you seen the impetus for the league to survive, in your opinion?
Well, what the commissioner says, the possibility of not only getting Cleveland back into the league next year, and there's a chance for Cincinnati and even the St. Louis Steamers. So if they can get 3 teams next year, plus get a good contract with a major cable company, I think that would be a plus, because I think the league will probably be 11 or 12 years old by next year. And
Be 12 years old next year.
12 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. You know, a lot of people don't want to put up such a great deal of money, knowing that there's a greater risk to lose it than other major investment. I think that's what's frightened a lot of commissioners, or not a lot of commissioners, but a lot of league owners to invest enough money in a league like this. But next year it would be the 12th year, and I think if we at least get 1 or maybe even 2 teams back in the league, maybe it's strength there. But I got a funny feeling. We've seen the attendance dwindle at Comets games, and I think this year they'll be lucky to average between 8,000 and 8,500.
Okay.
And I think they were hoping for good corporate sponsorship for this team's league, and they got that, so they might come out about even this year.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to run along, catch a couple other calls, but I want to thank you for your support.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you,
supporting.
Ed.
Good
Nice
phone
talking
call,
with you both
Terry.
tonight.
Thanks. Let's go on to our next caller, John, who's waiting on the line. You're on KC Sports Talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to address a point that the other gentleman had brought up as far as expansion goes. Next year, you're going. The talk is Cleveland's going to be coming into
They
the
will be coming. The
league next
Cleveland
year.
Crunch will be
Exactly,
entering next
yeah.
year.
And what's the situation there as far as now? He mentioned that possibly 2 or maybe 3 or 4. You know, you got to have basically an even number if you're going to split up into divisions, and then you're talking about divisional play. Do you have a set number of people that are, you know, in other words, there's a lot of theories
Potential.
as to who's going to get into league, who is not. What's the situation as it stands right now for the expansion next year?
Jock, I'll let you address that.
Well, right now, Chris Klauser, the lead owner of the Comets, is going around and talking to all these potential investors, and hopefully we will have another team added. So, and maybe we can get 10 teams in. That would be nice. I don't think we should expand too fast, though, because it's going to hurt the credibility if we have 14 teams next year and then 3 end up dropping out again. But I think if we can get 1 or 2 strong franchises for the next 5 seasons every year, that's what's going to do it, and that's how we're going to build a strong foundation for the future.
That's a good point. The point I'm making, I guess, is who. You know, I know Cleveland has been brought up, and that's one team. Now you have then who?
Okay,
I've
yeah,
heard
Chris
Cincinnati, and well, Denver off and on. They've heard things there. Who is made? I mean, you know, everybody has a theory on what and who's going to expand. Who has made definite inquiries into where the league's going to expand to next year?
From my knowledge, I know that St. Louis is interested, and Cincinnati, of course. Minnesota might be interested in bringing a team back, and also Phoenix. It's been several years since they've been in the league. So.
Right. That's just a situation there. Is what is it? The same people that were in those cities? I know Minnesota had a very strong support there for a while. Phoenix was in it for a short time, then the franchise folded. And St. Louis, at one point, had a very strong franchise, and then the attendance dwindling, and they folded. Are they the same people, or is it a different set of people? What's the situation there?
I think that you may have 1 or 2 people that are gonna that really didn't want the teams to fold, and they're going to be there to help regroup and reorganize the franchises. But I'm sure, just like the Comets reorganize and gather a whole new group of owners, it's going to be the same idea. But I think that basically the base will be there.
Okay. Final question is, when will these decisions be made? One of the things I think would hurt you is, well, let's say 3 years ago you were at, 93% capacity at Kemper when you were playing your home games, and now, very candidly, you're down to probably 55%, or 60%, as the case may be. A lot of people became disenfranchised with not knowing the stability of the league, and I think one of the major problems there was that you didn't know what your stability would be until, August, September. You didn't even know your schedule until that point in the season, and obviously you have to schedule games well ahead of time. When will a decision be made on who's going to be brought into the league, and are you going to go into divisional play, things of this nature? When will that be made?
That decision, you would think, would be made hopefully later on this spring or early this summer, no later, so they can organize a schedule and so that the cities can prepare their season ticket drive.
Yeah, if I may, Jacques, probably what you'll see is the MISL Championship Series will take place probably at the end of May, the first week of June. Right after the Championship Series, they usually hold league meetings in mid-June. And you'll probably see something come out of that. Cincinnati may be in within the next couple of weeks or more. And that would be 9 teams, assuming Dallas and LA survive. And then probably this summer, we might see a Minnesota, a St. Louis, a Phoenix enter the league. I know that none of the potential ownership groups wants to wait, like you said, till August, September, because then they can't gather their corporate sponsorships, they can't sell their tickets, and really they're starting off 3 paces behind everyone else. And you're right, they need that stability, they need a schedule. They're in August, laid out in stone, and we need to know the teams are there.
Well, bottom line, I wish you the best. I just hope it works out. I know it did in the early years, and the situation developed where there was a credibility gap, and I hope it didn't go the way the NASL did. I know I played a little bit in the game and enjoyed it when I did play, and hope you all do well.
Thank you. Thanks for calling, John. We're going to pick up another caller now. Dave's waiting to talk to us. You're on Sports Talk, Dave. Go ahead.
Yes, is this where I get my 2-year subscription to Time Magazine?
No, it isn't. But if it were, you might. You know what? A couple times, I think once or twice, was it Time or Sports? I think it was Sports Illustrated picked up the Comets, and the New York Express, and the New York Express was picked up by Sports Illustrated, and the Comets were featured in that article because they were playing in New York at the time. And now you don't read anything. With no team in New York, you don't read anything. I think we have Byron on. Go ahead, Byron. You're on KC Sports Talk. Myron, excuse me.
Myron, yeah. I'm calling about the Kansas City Comets. I'm a little bit perturbed about yesterday what happened, and I was wondering what is the MISL going to do about it, if anything?
Well, right now, Bill Kaling is reviewing the situation, and he'll make a decision a little later on this week about what we're going to do with Dallas. As far as the Comets are concerned, we apologize for the inconvenience to the fans, of course, and we wanted to play the game and the players were ready. So what's going to happen now is the game looks like it's going to be rescheduled for April 18th of this later on in the season, and you can reuse the tickets for that game, for Sunday's game, for April 18th. And also another option might be the last 5 regular home games. You can exchange yesterday's tickets for that. So we're going to try to do everything we can to help out the people who purchased tickets yesterday.
Yeah, I'm a season ticket holder. I, got tickets for the. That wasn't the point. I think it was a dirty trick what they pulled, and I think they should be fined. And not only fined, I think they should also lose that game. That's the way I feel about it, and I've talked to a lot of other fans about it, and that's the way they feel about it.
Yeah, it would be nice if Dallas could be punished like that, but in a way that's going to punish the Comets also, because we will lose the revenue and the fans are going to lose. They won't be able to see the game. And we'd like to go ahead and just play the game, and I think it'd be fair of all for the fans who purchased tickets and the team to have a chance to go ahead and win this game and go for it.
Yeah, well, I guess so. I'm just a big Comet fan. I've probably missed 5 games in the last 8 years since they've been here, and I enjoy the game. And another thing that I've got against, I think, is the refereeing is about the worst there is in sports.
Boy, I'll tell you that you couldn't. I've had to work, now that I've done the PA, I've had to work with him, so I've got to temper my comments. But if you've watched this show before, you've heard some pretty strong things come out of me about the refereeing.
Yeah, I talked to you a year ago about that, right after the playoffs.
Oh, yes. And the refereeing in this league, the strongest thing I'll say right now is does need to be improved. It needs to be new and improved, stamped right across the box, and it needs to be better. I think it's one thing that's hampering the sport. And as far as being a season ticket holder, I wanted to step backwards for just a second. Probably what may happen with the season ticket holders is the Comets will probably either give you credit towards the first game of the playoffs or towards next season tickets.
Yeah, that's what happened before on Sunday. I don't remember what it was, but I had a couple tickets left over, and that's what they did last year.
It was during the playoffs versus San Diego. There were a couple extra games. So.
And so you're gonna. I'm sure the Comets will take care of you.
Oh, I'm not worried about them taking. I know they will.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thanks a lot very much.
Thank you, Dave. Going to jump to another caller. Hot item tonight. Nick's on, waiting for us. Nick, you're on KC Sports Talk. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to talk about the. I have to ask you a question, Ed. How can you consider having, like, soccer is an American sport, right?
It's a world sport, but the MISL is an American version. Yes.
Well, yes, but like I say, there are lots of foreigners in the soccer leagues these days.
Uh-huh.
How can you consider having so many of those people in an American sport? You know, which I would say is an American sport.
Well, a lot of them came over here to pioneer the sport, and the league has set rules, really, about how many foreigners can play on teams. And if you look at the comments these days, you look at names like Dave Bonchek, you know,
Kevin Hundell.
Kevin Hundell. We're getting a
Ian
lot.
Frazier. Half the Comets roster is basically American, and it's like that all around the league now.
Mm-hmm.
It's growing. I know. Well, basically, when the league first started, the American players it wasn't there yet, and for the ticket holders' dollar, the foreign players, they put on a great show, and they're very good players, and we can learn a lot from them. But like I said, the kids are growing up with the game now. They're improving, and in the next decades, those are the guys that are going to be on the field, and those are the ones you're going to pay tickets to see.
Yeah. I like to talk about one special player. I don't know how old he is or something, but Pele. Was he like a foreigner from another country who,
Yeah.
you know, he was a great soccer player, as I know.
He was from Brazil,
Yeah.
and
Who
that's
did he play for?
yeah. He played for the Brazilian national team, and when he came here, he played for the Cosmos, also known as the New York Cosmos, because that was their home.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who really made the NASL big in the mid-'70s.
Yeah.
And now he's retired, and I believe he works as a big executive for the Coca-Cola Corporation in South America.
Mm-hmm.
And he still and Coca-Cola promotes a lot of big soccer events in South America that they don't promote here because the audience really hasn't been developed here. So Pele kind of controls the soccer operations for Coca-Cola in South America. And he's still big news wherever he goes.
And when he signed a contract with the New York Cosmos, they had sellout crowds of 77, 80,000.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was really big, and he pioneered the sport. in
They filled the
NASL.
Meadowlands in New Jersey for their home games. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, Nick, we're going to have to run along, but thanks for your call and your interest in soccer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Uh-huh. And, well, Jacques, we're going to have to wrap this up. We didn't get into half the things we wanted to get into. And, in fact, we're going to have Jacques move over, and as time allows, we're going to bring Brian back out and kind of open up the forum beyond soccer. But we may get into a few more questions because I know you're involved in the UMKC program. I know that there are other things going on besides the Comets themselves. The Comets are also sponsoring a lot of tournaments for the youth, such as Nick, who may be interested in playing, actually playing on the Kemper floor. The Comets sponsor a lot of tournaments. Clive Griffith's in charge of that project. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk about that. But we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, Jacques will move over a space, and Brian Still will join us again. So stay tuned, everybody.
What has gone wrong with the Kemper, the Comets, the whole thing down there? Where now the Comets didn't win when they first came here. Was it just saying that they were new in town? Because God, you couldn't get tickets on Saturday nights. They sold out every Saturday night down there. St. Louis come to town, forget it. And the same way with the NAI. It wasn't a sellout crowd, but they were good, consistent crowds. Last year at the NAI, it was pathetic. And I don't know if they're expecting that big. I don't think they're expecting that big this time. What is going wrong with the Kemper in general?
Okay, let me start it off with this, and then I want to toss it to Jacques to talk about the Comets' particular perspective. Kemper Arena has done a terrible job of marketing itself. A lot of people, there are not a lot of events booked into Kemper. They've lost the Kings. The publicity for the NAIA, the Big 8 tournament, everything is generated only by the perpetual motion of it happens a certain time every year, and they have their own little advertising committees who set it up. Kemper Arena does nothing to go out and expand its revenues. The city does not help them in that respect. There's no marquee. You can drive down by Kemper Arena. There's no marquee out front that tells you what's going on, like in the other big cities, where you could say, gee, the truck and tractor pull is coming March 28th. You wouldn't know that. You see a building. And then with the Comets, and I'm going to turn this over to Jacques, there is no communication between the Comets and the city that allows them to work as a unit. Jacques?
I tell you, during the games, we have a lot of trouble with the city trying to get things done on game day. And I agree that Camp Arena does not schedule enough events. The last few years, the floor, the Comets field, has been down for sometimes weeks at a time. And when the Comets first came to town, the field would go down Friday night and come off late Friday night as soon as the game was over again because there was a concert scheduled Saturday. And definitely I think that something needs to happen down there to get the event schedule and to get the Camp Arena, because it's a beautiful arena. And they just put in a brand new scoreboard system and everything else, and I think it needs to be used. But
well, I would suggest that they would move the NEI to Municipal Auditorium. You're talking about downtown, where a lot of businessmen go. I think a lot of people will feel better going downtown in that corner.
I want to thank you for calling in. And Julie's going to be on Sports Talk. Julie, you're on. Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say that we went out to the game on Sunday, and okay, so things like that happen. We're not mad. We don't want our money back, but we would like to see the game.
Okay.
Whenever it's rescheduled.
The game right now,
That's
April 18th.
exactly what we want to do. April 18th. It looks like the date it's going to be replayed. Like I said, a little later on this week, Bill Kentley will come up with his final decision, and we will let you know through the media and the newspapers.
Okay, that's great. And I want to say one other thing. I know that eventually, in years to come, there'll be a lot of American players on the teams, but you sure can't fault the players that we have now. They're great, and they're exciting to watch, and it's just a great game.
Oh, I agree. The level of talent over the years has improved incredibly.
All right, we're going to have to run, and in fact,
Thanks a lot.
that's going to do it for Sports Talk now. We ran out of time. Thanks for calling, Julie, and supporting the Comets, and we hope the Comets get that game made up, and in fact, do come back and beat Dallas in that game and teach them a lesson for what they did. I want to thank Brian tonight, who came in and, of course, as usual, thoroughly answered all the college basketball questions that I couldn't handle. Thank Jacques Tournoy for coming from the Comets tonight. Jacques was a big help to us, and hopefully we'll have him back later. That's going to do it for this week. We'll see you next Monday right here on KC Sports Talk.